The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the College of New Jersey, our STEM Secondary Ed Virtual Open House. My name is Rob Bonacore. I am the Director of Enrollment Management Technology at the College of New Jersey, and I'll be providing tech support for our webinar this afternoon. Before we get started with the presentation, I just have a few little housekeeping items for everybody. So the webinar will last about an hour, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how many questions that you have, but we'll be very conscious of your time. So I think we have it scheduled for a little over an hour right now. As you enter the room, all attendees are on mute. And as of right now, depending on how many attendees we get, the attendees will stay on mute. So you can hear us and all the presenters this afternoon, but you won't be able to speak yourselves unless we decide to unmute you later on. So how do you ask questions? Well, on your menu there should be a little questions bar. And what you will do in that chat window is basically ask your question. The questions do get logged, and so basically any of the presenters and organizers will be able to see those questions, and we will then voice them to the presenter or to the group and have those questions answered verbally for you. So we will get to your questions in that way. So that's basically how you ask questions in today's webinar. Because questions are logged, if we run out of time and your questions are not answered, we have who asked it and your email address that you used to register. So we will follow up with all questions by email after the presentation today. We will also, as I said, read to the moderator. The moderator will read the questions to the presenter, answer by email, or we can actually follow up by private chat as well. So if it is a question that's a little bit more of a private nature, you can still ask it. Only the presenter see it. The rest of the audience will not see your question, and we can respond back to you directly with that. Another little tidbit, in the upper right-hand corner of your screen is a camera icon. You can use that camera icon at any point throughout the presentation to take a screenshot, basically, of what we have on screen, and it will just save it as an image file to your own computer. So if trying to take notes or if we present something up there and you want to remember that, feel free to use that button. And one last note, the webinar is being recorded, so if there's anything you missed or want to come back and hear later on, in a couple of days we'll have that out on our website and you'll be able to visit the webinar at a second time. So with that, I will leave you with our presenters for this evening and turn this over to Lisa.
Hi, Robbie. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for attending this afternoon. We're really excited to bring kind of our open house to our prospective students virtually. So thank you for joining us. My name is Lisa DeMarsico, and I am the Assistant Director of Graduate Studies here at the College of New Jersey. So I'm going to start us off. Basically, I'm just going to give you all an overview of what the webinar is going to look like today, who the presenters are going to be, and the information we're going to go over. I'll give you some brief information about the application process here at the College of New Jersey. Then I'm going to turn it over, and you'll get to hear from some of our great presenters. So let me just, so your presenters are going to be myself. Again, I'll be going over information related to graduate programs. Then we are going to have two of our faculty members, are actually co-coordinators and chairs for the program, Dr. Kathy Liebars and Dr. James Byers. And then we actually have one of our graduate students. We have, I'm going to butcher his name, but he'll be able to rectify it later when he goes to the panel to answer some questions, Alan Zarowaski. And then we also have our partner and liaison from the Woodrow Wilson Foundation, Brian Hayes. So you'll be able to hear information from all our presenters. So just to start us off, a little bit about the College of New Jersey. Some of you may know our institution well, some of you may not. Just some basic information. The college was founded in 1855. It was actually one of the very first institutions in the country for teacher training. So we definitely, hold to our base and our roots in teacher prep and education. Obviously, the college has grown over the years. Today, we're a highly competitive liberal arts institution with quite a bit of national acclaim, which we're very proud of. We are located in Ewing, New Jersey, which many of the courses you take will be located on our campus. It's a beautiful campus for those who have not been here. Definitely try to get here, not just virtually, but in person to see the campus. And we have 7 schools that make up the college. Currently, 4 of them are involved in graduate programs. And you know, those schools are obviously the School of Education. We also have programs in nursing, health, and exercise science, in the humanities and social sciences, and in engineering. No open house would be complete without a little bit of bragging. So the college, you know, we receive a lot of national acclaim. I think 2 of the things we are most proud of are our highly accomplished faculty. We really have some dedicated faculty and staff here at the College of New Jersey who really are pioneers in their fields. And we also have some of the happiest students, according to the Princeton Review. So in general, both graduate and undergraduate students are really happy to be here and feel like a part of our community. For over 2 decades, we've been ranked in U.S. News and World Reports right at the top of all their lists. And consistently, we are ranked as a best value in public education when it comes to actually, you know, the cost of education, which is such a big topic nowadays. So that's really, you know, just a very quick, brief overview of who we are here at the College of New Jersey. And again, I hope for those of you who don't know our campus, you can come, you can visit, you can meet us in person, and we'd be happy to show you around and, you know, kind of give you a little more history if you're interested. Now I'm going to go into the graduate admissions process. So for any prospective graduate student, you do need to go through a full admissions process here at TCNJ. It's the graduate office that facilitates that. So really the best place for information is our website, graduate.tcnj.edu. We have a wealth of information from, you know, what to expect in the admissions process, how to apply, what programs are offered, and then a ton of resources for prospective and current graduate students. As you can see just from this slide, this is a screenshot of our main website, but in the right corner there's a little purple box with a blue button that says Apply Now. That's where our application is. So our application is partly online and partly documents that need to be submitted, hard copy, but this is where you would go to actually start an application for admissions and then also to obtain information on the actual process. Just a quick word on matriculation. So anybody applying to our MIT STEM program or any of our MIT programs in secondary education would be applying for matriculation. We don't have a visiting status or non-matriculation option. Because these programs are cohort driven, we only accept students on this full-time basis. So in order to be eligible for matriculation, which is essentially applying for a program that leads in a degree or a certificate, you need to have a bachelor's degree, obviously, from an accredited institution. If you did your studies outside of the U.S., we just need proof of equivalency. And then currently for our programs, it's a minimum GPA of 3.0. And just note that, you know, the application process can be competitive. So although that's a minimum, oftentimes, you know, an applicant pool could have a higher GPA needed for admission. So what do you need to submit? For TCNJ, we need the online application. As I indicated, it's on our website. There is a $75 application fee that is waived for individuals who were previous TCNJ students, whether that was at the undergrad or graduate level. And then there's a number of supplemental documents that need to be submitted. And those include a student essay, a resume. We ask for 2 letters of recommendation. And depending on the program, there might be some additional documents that are needed. We also ask that students submit scores for the Graduate Record Exam, or GRE. And we do need that for this program unless you fall into our waiver category. And that information is on our website, but essentially for students who graduated from TCNJ, if you graduated with at least a 3.0 GPA, we'll waive that requirement for you. For students who graduated with their bachelor's degree from another institution, not TCNJ, we ask that you have a 3.2 undergraduate GPA, and we'll waive that requirement for you. If you hold a higher level degree, if you already have a master's or a doctorate, you don't need to take the GRE. We waive it in those cases as well. So again, the online application is available off of our website. And what can be submitted online is the application fee can be paid electronically. We have the option for you to upload a resume and your student essay, either through a Word document or a PDF. So essentially anything that you put together, anything that's your work, resume, essay, or personal statement, that can be uploaded to our application, and that's considered official. Anything that needs to come from an outside institution or person, that needs to come hard copy. So we ask that letters of recommendation, official transcripts, any documentation that comes from an outside institution does need to come hard copy. So we do have a website that shows supplemental documents for all programs. I'm just going to pull that up right now. So I brought you to our website. This is the page under Apply for required supplemental documents. And you would just scroll down and look for your program of interest. So for example, MAT in mathematics would list all the requirements for the application, and if you clicked on any of these, it would bring you to a description of what we're looking for. And just for example, when you click on recommendation, there's actually a form that we ask you to print out and have your recommender fill out along with the letter that they send. And again, something like that would come hard copy. Let me just get back to my slide. So essentially what we need to be able to review an application for matriculation would be the online application, the application fee, all supplemental documents, and scores if required. And we won't look at an application until this is on file, until everything is complete. So deadlines. When does this have to be on file? Well, for summer 2015, which is the next period that we're admitting for our MIT secondary ed programs, we have pretty much an application window. So we start reviewing applications come February 1st. That's considered our priority consideration deadline. If all your documentation is on file by February 1st, we'll start reviewing your applications, and you'll kind of be first consideration. After February 1st, we review applications on a rolling basis until the final deadline of May 1st. And then again, since these programs do only admit for a summer start, there's the deadlines for summer 2015 and then summer 2016. As you can see, we don't change our deadlines. It's always February 1st and May 1st, regardless of the year, and that's also regardless of the day of the week. So if February 1st falls on a Sunday, yes, we're not in the office, but that's still the date that we would expect for everything to be on file. So come Monday morning, if your documents are not on file, it's not complete at that time. So that's just, just clarifying our deadlines. Last thing I want to mention is an opportunity that we offer to graduate students. We have what we call graduate assistantships. And this is not for all students, and it is a competitive process. But we do offer positions here on campus for graduate students who are eligible to become a graduate assistant. And essentially those students are hired to work in various offices on campus. Those students need to be full-time, and they would need to be putting 15 hours a week during each semester, and we hire for fall and spring, into their time in the offices that they were hired into. What students receive for this time is $10,000 for the school year. It's a tuition waiver. It's not a stipend. It's not money that the student gets directly, but $5,000 per semester goes towards their tuition bill. So essentially $10,000 a year of tuition is waived for these students. Again, eligibility, you must be a full-time student. So for graduate students, that means taking at least 9 credits a semester. They need to be matriculated and in good standing and have a GPA of at least 3.0. We start accepting applications for graduate assistants in January, and the deadline is April 15th. So it's a pretty short window. So if you are interested, certainly go onto our website come January and submit an application. It's an online application. It's separate from our admissions application, but it's an online application, and we just ask for a resume. And you can certainly do this before you hear of an admissions decision. And if you're applying, after February 1st, you're definitely going to want to submit before you hear of your, actual admission to TCNJ, because as you can see, it's a very short window of time to apply, and you don't want to miss it. So that's all I have for now. I am going to turn it over in just a minute to our panel that's going to, talk about the actual program. But if you want to take a screenshot of my contact information, please go ahead and do so. I'm happy to answer any questions about the admissions process. Okay, so if you want to unmute yourself, I'm going to go ahead and throw the screen over to you.
Okay, we are preparing to accept the screen. Can everyone, we need to minimize our other screen. No, it's the red button all the way to the left.
They're not seen.
There it is.
Speaker seen.
Yeah, it's on there too.
Oh,
Okay. So, hi, my name is James Byers. We have some presenters here to discuss the STEM Master of Arts in Teaching program with a specific emphasis for the Woodrow Wilson Teaching Fellowship. We're just getting back to our first slide. So I am Dr. Byers, and I am chair of the Department of Elementary and Early Childhood Education. And we have with us Dr. Lee Bars, who is the Associate Chair of the Department of Mathematics and Statistics. And we have Alan Zorowarski, who is a STEM MAT student and Woodrow Wilson Fellow. And then we have Brian Hayes, the project director from the Woodrow Wilson Foundation. So today, during the open house, I'm going to discuss matters associated with the program goals and outcomes, and I'm going to give you some insights into the program planner. And Dr. Lee Bars will talk about the certification programs that are available, as well as some of the TCNJ signature experiences, why TCNJ for STEM. And then Brian Hayes will follow that with an explicit discussion about the foundation and the fellowship opportunities. And then we will have a question and answer session where our STEM fellow, Alan, will be able to answer a question specifically from a student's perspective, and we will answer questions from the co-director perspective. So can you lower that other window because I need to see the text. I'm sorry, I'm just going to move a window real quick. Okay, so the Master of Arts in Teaching the MAT certification program is for initial licensure in one of the STEM fields. It could be biology, chemistry, math, physics, or technology, engineering, education. We have a framework in mind, like around the 5 critical areas for teaching secondary middle school STEM courses, which are in parallel with our signature experiences. But the idea here is to provide students with a sense of the integrative nature of STEM, content and pedagogy, but also to develop a proficiency with learning and development broadly, but in specific contexts associated with high needs districts or urban contexts. We would also like to emphasize the ability to understand and conduct classroom-based research, for example, action research, things to help you improve your practice based on your teaching practices, or discipline-relevant research like things associated with new ideas in physics or chemistry or math, but then being able to translate that research into your practice. But we also emphasize being able to navigate the challenges of teaching in a high-needs urban setting. So understanding your students' context, understanding the administrative challenges associated with teaching in such settings, but then also discipline-specific content and pedagogy. So what's a little bit different about our program is that we have separate methods courses for each discipline, but we also have a content course for each discipline. So a math course, a graduate math course, a graduate other course, and such. So moving on to what the program overview in terms of content looks like. Oops, sorry, we went one. Oh, we're both trying to switch the screen. Sorry. So moving on to the overview of the program. This is a one-year program that starts in the summer and ends in the summer 1 calendar year later. So it begins with what we have as our summer orientation. There's an institute that helps you get acclimated to teaching and learning and urban settings and such like that. And that would begin prior to the first set of courses, which begin in the summer. And they're split over the summer courses. Those 3 courses are split over summer session 1 and 2, which both occur in the first summer. So the first course is part of our signature experience that I was alluding to before, the integrative STEM. It's a 3-credit course that talks about how you would integrate across the different content areas in science, technology, engineering, and math. It's a methods course. Then there's a more typical kind of traditional adolescent development and learning course. And then this is that first methods course that I was referring to, and it would be specific to your content area. So there's a math methods, science methods, and then the technology students would typically be absorbed into the math methods course. So then those 3 courses are spread over the 2 mini summer semesters. And then in the fall, it becomes a little bit more intense. And there's an equity and diversity in public education course that deals with issues of diversity and trying to deliver or teach culturally relevant practices and such. Pedagogy and practice is your introduction to actually being in the classroom. You would have an on-campus course where you would meet with a faculty member, and then you would have the first half of your placement in associated with pedagogy and practice in the school that would be hosting you. And then the third course is the curriculum course that I was referring to that's also unique. It's the content course, so there's the math course, the physics course, chemistry, and the tech studies course. And that would be dependent on your training and your background and your expertise in content. You would be assigned to a particular course that would be best suited for your background, with the exception of the math folks who get the Math 590 content. The science ones are, oh, I'm sorry, we forgot the bio course. There's also one for bio in there. But you would be spread out over which course would be most relevant to your area of expertise. And then in the spring, the pedagogy and practice 2 is the second half of the internship, which now you would move into a full-time teaching and you would be in the classroom 5 days a week, and then your other coursework on campus would be in the evening. And then, so that would, when you consider course 5 and course 7 together, that's where you get your 1-year full placement, where it would be part-time in the first half of it, and you would be slowly integrated into a full-time practice that you would assume at some point during the early part of the course 7. And then when you move on to the summer, that's the second summer, which you would have the classroom inquiry, which is akin to a capstone type of thing, and you would continue your placement, which would end with the public schools academic year. So this would continue into June. And then you have the integrated STEM 2, which is the bookend course to the course 1, integrated STEM 1, which would then wrap up all of the integration and methods associated with teaching integrated content. Is there anything else I should add about the, okay, so I guess we could move on to the next one. So Dr. Liebars will talk to you a little bit through the TCNJ signature experiences a little bit more detail than what I just did.
So these are the key features of this program, and I think what makes them unique. And some of this has already been mentioned, but I just wanted to put this all together in one slide, in one place. There is a field placement in one of our partner district classrooms that extends throughout the entire public school year. So you are in a field placement from day 1 of the school year in that classroom until the very end of the school year, which is very unique. None of our other programs here at TCNJ have that feature. So this is a model that's very different, but we feel strongly that this is an appropriate model for someone who's learning how to teach to be involved in a classroom, you know, from beginning to end. And as Dr. Byers said, you are slowly integrated into the classroom with the first half of the year being part-time and then slowly moving into taking over the entire full load of the teacher's schedule sometime during the second half of the school year. We also provide mentoring training to the cooperating teachers that are in our partner districts so that they become the best mentors, because they're going to be with you for an entire year, providing support to you. So we provide support for them to be better mentors to you in the classroom. As Dr. Byers mentioned, and you saw in the course, in the program planner, there is a strong emphasis on content in this program and methods in that content area, as well as iSTEM pedagogy. So there's a very strong emphasis on that. A lot of courses you're taking are very much geared towards STEM. Even the courses that, you know, the pedagogy and practice course and the equity and diversity course, because they are specifically for majors in the STEM areas, there is a strong focus on STEM teaching in those courses. And then finally, a key experience in this program is the integrated STEM, which I'll talk about in a minute in a little more detail. Right now, actually. So what is iSTEM? What is integrated STEM? Traditionally, methods of teaching science or technology or engineering or math content have been primarily specific to that discipline. So, you know, math is taught by math teachers, science taught by science teachers, and so forth. So integrated STEM combines those subjects and uses the design attributes of technology and engineering to provide a context and integrate across both the STEM areas and non-STEM subjects. So design projects require, you know, problem solving, research, inquiry. They require math skills, but they also require communication and working together, creativity, etc. So it really spans across all subjects, not just STEM, but other subjects as well. This fits in with the new educational standards like the Common Core and the Next Generation Science Standards because in fact, the Next Generation Science Standards actually includes engineering design across the K-12 spectrum. So with these iSTEM methods, the students in the program will become very well versed in design-based learning or problem-based learning, where they're doing design activities and then they can implement those in their classrooms. Another follow-up to the key experiences is these are our partner districts. So we are partnering with high needs districts that are in our area, Ewing, Trenton, New Brunswick, Burlington City, and Hamilton, and so all of our placements are in those districts. And now switching a little bit to certification, the state requires 30 credits in a content area for certification. 12 of those must be at the upper level. Now technology has even more specific requirements for different areas of engineering, and we have an expert on our team who looks at transcripts and can determine whether or not you're meeting the state requirements in technology. But for science and math, it's pretty clear that it's 30 credits in the content, 12 of which have to be at the upper level. So when you're applying to this program, we are looking to make sure that you are eligible for certification. The Praxis 2 must be taken at some point before certification, the Praxis 2 exam in your licensure area, and each subject matter exam has a different passing score. That is, like I said, that is required for certification. They also require, the state also requires a 2.75 GPA at this time for certification. However, graduate programs here actually require a 3.0 overall GPA, so you would have to go beyond what the state requires anyway. And then there's also a health and hygiene requirement, which can be satisfied in different ways, which we can go through when you're accepted into the program. It's not really a big deal. So at this point, I'm going to turn over the presentation to Brian Hayes from the Woodrow Wilson Foundation to talk about the fellowship. So I'm going to temporarily leave the PowerPoint so that I can mute our screen, and then I'll go back to the PowerPoint.
Hi, everybody. Thanks again, Dr. Liebars and Dr. Byers. Really appreciate everybody being here this evening. I know you have many places to be, but it means a lot that you've spent some time with us this evening. So I'd like to talk with you about the Woodrow Wilson, New Jersey Teaching Fellowship. And I'll try to put it into context, by saying essentially that I think you can think about the New Jersey Teaching Fellowship Program at TCNJ as a subset of MAT STEM enrollees at the College of New Jersey. So again, the Woodrow Wilson Teaching Fellowship is a subset of students who are enrolled in the MAT in STEM Ed at TCNJ. So my name is Brian Hayes, and I serve as the State Director for the New Jersey program. Our foundation has been offering teaching fellowships now in 5 states since 2009. The teaching fellowship program actually got started in the state of Indiana, where we have been preparing fellows, cohorts of fellows at 5 universities in Indiana since 2009. The work continued into Ohio and Michigan in 2011, and we were really thrilled to bring the fellowship to New Jersey in 2014. You see down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen just a photo of our fellows from William Patterson. So we have fellows from every from 5 different institutions in the state of New Jersey, the College of New Jersey being one of them. We also have fellows at Rutgers Camden, Rowan University, William Patterson, and Montclair State. All of our fellows satisfy the same entry requirements that were described earlier, but in some cases go above and beyond those requirements, and I'll go into detail about those. What fellows receive is a $30,000 fellowship, a stipend from the foundation. They receive or participate in a clinically based teacher preparation program, such as the one that Dr. Byers just mapped out for you. All 5 of our partner institutions have redesigned their programs with our fellows in mind and provide for a year-long clinical experience. You know, I liken it, I had a conversation with some folks the other day, and I talked about my own teacher prep experience, you know, following a traditional student teaching experience. I never saw a school open, and I never saw a school year close. I participated in very few faculty meetings as a student teacher. I did not participate in parent-teacher conferences. So what our program really seeks to do is to make our fellows really a part of that school community where they're carrying out their clinical experience. So, you know, as our program directors explained, you'll be in that school, a high-needs school, from September until June. The result of that year-long experience, we believe, not only prepares you ultimately for job placement, but it really prepares you for the realities of the types of schools we expect our fellows to eventually teach in. We provide 3 years of mentoring support. So immediately upon completion of your program, a fellow would earn a master's degree, become certified in the state of New Jersey. During their first 3 years of teaching, we would provide mentoring. So what that looks like is that, you know, unlike a traditional program where you say goodbye to the institution that prepared you, the College of New Jersey will continue to work with fellows for 3 years. Your first 3 years on the job, and our foundation provides support for that. We also provide assistance with job placement, so we don't guarantee employment in high-need urban or rural schools, but since those are the schools that we require our fellows to teach in upon completion of the program, we do everything we can to really cultivate strong relationships across the state so that superintendents, HR offices know who our fellows are. And I can tell you that we have a really phenomenal track record of placing fellows. And if you think about it, you know, building principals and district supervisors and superintendents really think highly of our fellows because they essentially have a year of teaching experience under their belt, and they become a part of a school community. So from their perspective, you know, they like to offer our fellows jobs because they really know what they're getting. We also provide ongoing professional development. Every other year we provide a national convening to our fellows. This past summer was in Chicago, and we flew 500 fellows from across our 4 states, you know, to Chicago for a day and a half of networking, of professional development. And then in every other year, we do state-based convenings. So we bring together the fellows from from the respective states where we have fellowship programs, similarly for networking and professional development opportunities. So in order to be considered eligible for our program, you must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. You must meet our GPA requirement, which is consistent with that of TCNJ's graduate school, and that is a 3.0 or higher. It's really important that you have attained or expect to attain by June of 2015 a bachelor's degree or higher in one of the STEM fields. So, you know, we do have a number of fellows who have you know, degrees beyond the bachelor's degree, but a bachelor's degree is the minimum requirement for entry. I often get questions from individuals who may not have majored in a particular subject area. It's really important for our program that the bachelor's degree be in the STEM fields. So for instance, if you are a psychology major and you may have taken a handful of math classes, chances are you don't possess all of the math requirements that we're looking for. And as Dr. Lebars mentioned, the state actually requires 30 credits, 12 of which at the advanced level. So most often it is a major who fits that, who satisfies that requirement. Obviously, the commitment to the teaching fellowship and its goals, and really what we're talking about there is you have to really want to teach in a high-need school. There are many schools across our state We have 600 school districts. We realize that teaching in a high-need school, it may not be for everyone. And moreover, agreeing to teach for 3 years upon completion, might not fit within your plans. So this 4-year commitment to our program is really what we're hoping to find. 1 year for graduate school and 3 years of teaching. You'll see on the screen there the universities where we're currently recruiting for. So our program this coming year, we're recruiting for the 2015 cohort. We'll have programs in New Jersey, we'll have programs in Georgia, and we'll have programs in Indiana. Our programs in Ohio and Michigan that I alluded to earlier, the funding has expired in those 2 states, and we're currently in conversations with both of those states to see how we can sustain the program and offer additional fellowships for years to come. To the next slide, please. So hopefully this isn't too confusing. I know Lisa began the presentation by talking about general admissions requirements for master's degree or graduate study at the College of New Jersey. We're a fellowship organization, and we've been offering fellowship since 1945. And a unique feature of the Woodrow Wilson Teaching Fellowship Program is that if you want to be considered, you actually apply directly to our foundation. And I think that the deadlines that were cited for TCNJ are actually great deadlines because, as you'll see in a slide to come, all of our application deadlines actually precede the deadline that's required for the College of New Jersey. So if you're interested in being considered for the Woodrow Wilson Teaching Fellowship, we do encourage you to apply as early as possible. It's a very rapid process, so as soon as you get your application in, from the moment of the deadline for which you are applying, you'll hear back from the foundation within 2 months. Our next deadline is actually this Friday, November 14th, and what that ultimately means is that folks who meet that deadline will hear back from the foundation about their status roughly in the middle of January. So what we often tell people to do is really shop around and explore, your partner institutions that are offering the teaching fellowship program, being sure that they offer, a pathway to certification for the field that you're looking to eventually teach in, math, technology, earth science, for instance. I can tell you that the College of New Jersey is our only college partner in New Jersey that does offer the certification in technology. So if that is your field, you're in luck because you have a great partner in the College of New Jersey, and that's obviously true of the other subjects for which they provide pathways to certification. You're going to receive information really at every step of the way from our foundation via email regarding, whether or not after you submit an application, whether or not you're going to be invited to interview. We'll provide you details about what that interview/selection day looks like, and more so than anything else, what we're looking for in a candidate is potential. We're not expecting that any of our applicants have prior teaching experience. In fact, we expect that most of them do not. We're looking for people with real content expertise, but beyond that, people who love their subject so much that they are really hungry to bring that love of that subject area to the students who need it most. So we're looking for potential, and we've structured the selection day to really provide us insight into that. I'll tell you a little bit more about the selection day on the next slide. Here we go. So our interviews take place at partner institutions. So what that means is that, as I said, we have 5 partner institutions in New Jersey. You may, if you're asked to interview, so you would submit an application to the foundation, and we'll let you know very soon after whether or not you're going to be invited to interview. Depending on which application round you're applying for, we will have interview days throughout the state. The College of New Jersey has already hosted one such round in late October. We also have interview days offered in North Jersey and South Jersey. The important thing to keep in mind is, you are free to interview at whichever school location or even state location that makes, most sense for you. So, for instance, if you're an undergraduate in the state of Ohio right now, and you find it's easier to get to an interview day in Indiana, but your dream choice for our program is to do the College of New Jersey, by all means, you can interview in Indiana and be considered for our program anywhere in New Jersey. It's a full-day event, so we certainly, tell our candidates to come prepared. You'll be provided with instructions about the various portions of the day. There's a sample, 5-minute sample teaching component that is a fun part of our day. There is a video discussion portion where you'll be given links to observe a couple of teachers in high-need school settings and be expected to come ready to discuss those videos. There's one-on-one interviews with selectors who will be present that day. Those interviews are typically about 30 minutes, and our selectors will review your transcripts, ask you some questions about your coursework, your resume, letters of recommendation, etc., your essays. Applicants are interviewed by third-party selectors, so they're not individuals who work here at the foundation, but these individuals have been given your applications. They've reviewed them well in advance of the selection day. So as soon as we know that you're coming to an interview day, our selectors receive your file, they prepare, and they're eager to meet you. And then following that, we get feedback from our selectors, and we review internally at the foundation, and we nominate finalists to our partner institutions. So that is actually taking place as we speak for those individuals who applied for our first round, and we actually go into internal review here at the foundation tomorrow. So it's a really rapid, quick cycle, and then we prepare once again for the next application round. The good news is for those of you who are joining us tonight, there's plenty of time, so even if you don't make our next application round, we have another application round on January 31st. So just like Lisa showed you, here's a screenshot of our website, woodrow.org/STEM, and you'll see on our website, both in the top right is a link to my application, and then there's also on the bottom right a red button that says Apply Now. To be considered for the Woodrow Wilson Teaching Fellowship, you must apply to our foundation. The entire application is online. There are 3 supplements that must arrive to the foundation, and those are a resume, a copy of your resume, 2 letters of recommendation from individuals who could speak to your content background as well as perhaps your commitment to teaching, and then finally copies of all of your transcripts from any institution from which you've received college credit. So I would encourage you folks to, if teaching in a high-need school is, an aspiration of yours, I would encourage you to apply, and the first step to do that is to visit our website. You'll see our application deadlines. The first has passed, October 13th. Those individuals are under review as we speak. Don't be alarmed that you didn't apply by that deadline or that you're just learning about this now. There's still plenty of time. Our final application round actually is the day before, if I'm remembering Lisa's slide, the day before the priority application deadline at TCNJ. So a question I often get from folks is, can I still apply to a college partner for regular admission if I'm not accepted to the fellowship? The answer is yes. So I would definitely say that it's always advantageous to apply early. And
school of choice. So you apply to one or the other at least at first, correct?
So the question is, if you apply to the foundation and you're accepted by the foundation, you have to file a second application here at TCNJ? And the answer
Correct.
to that is no, you do not. The paperwork would be processed on your behalf.
Right. So I think in what Brian was saying was our deadlines actually work out nicely. So if you apply to the fellowship and you do not get it, unfortunately, you still have the opportunity to apply to TCNJ, not under the fellowship. And the other thing is, if the fellowship doesn't seem exactly like what you're looking for, then you would just apply to TCNJ directly, and you don't need to apply through the fellowship.
Right.
And
just as a clarification also, the only difference in terms of the curriculum for the one-year program, the experience, would just be the financial support. Otherwise, fellows and non-fellows would be in exactly the same classes with the exact same expectations, and otherwise exactly the same for the duration of the one-year portion of the program.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, what I tell people often is, if you have your heart set on teaching at Princeton High School, then it probably does not make terrific sense for you to apply to our program, because the way it works is you do have to satisfy the full 3-year teaching placement. That's an aspect of the terms and conditions document that a fellow would sign with the foundation. If a fellow does not complete a 3-year teaching commitment in a high-needs school, then they are asked to repay their fellowship.
Okay, that's a good clarification. Since we're not too far away from Alan speaking, one of the attendees did ask if Alan could briefly just mention his background and his experience with the mix of individuals in a cohort. So are students coming right from undergrad? Are they career changers? Kind of what's the mix of the cohort?
So it's a pretty good mix, even mix, I would say. I'd say roughly 1/3 of the cohort graduated college within about a year or two. And then there's a second cohort of people, maybe they tend to be late 20s. They've been out a bunch of yeone was managing a restaurant, so a variety of different jobs. And then I'd say 1/3 of our cohort are sort of more from my age group. You can tell from my gray hair that we've been doing different things for a longer time. So I'd say it's a mix of people, a few people who sort of just graduated, a group who've been out for half a dozen years or so, and then people who've been out for longer.
And when we say cohort, we're talking about a mix between fellows and non-fellows, correct? Everybody's in the same cohort regardless of how
Yes.
you started the program at TCNJ?
Yes, the program begins at the beginning of the summer, summer session 1, and it ends the following summer. And non-fellows and fellows would have the exact same sequence of courses and the exact same duration of field placement. The difference would be the financial support.
Okay. And just kind of going off of that, we have a question that comes in, and this person's just giving their specific background. I have a BS and MS in electrical engineering with the focus in math and science, and essentially they're asking, would I have the gen ed and liberal arts related coursework that I need, or will that be something I will probably need to make up, and how do you deal with that with an applicant if they don't have all the coursework in liberal arts or gen ed?
I think we don't have any specific requirements for liberal arts or gen ed. If you have a bachelor's degree and you have 30 credits in the content area, that's really what's required. So I'm not sure what other requirements they're referring to.
Okay, so for this program, I know some of our other MIT programs, they still look for kind of like, I think it's at least 60 credits in liberal arts. That wouldn't be the case. We're just looking for the content area here, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Now, the one thing I would see potentially being interesting to do would be to review the person's transcript and to find out if they would be more readily suited for physics engineering or math. When you have many specializations, so sometimes the credits have been spread thin in one particular area, so a quick review of the transcript would indicate what they would be best suited for content-wise, but of course the choice would ultimately be theirs.
Okay. And going along with that, there was a question that came in related to dual certification. So is it possible to be certified in more than one area, say chemistry and biology, or do you have to pick one specific area during the duration of this particular program?
Well, for the duration of the program, they really have to pick an area that they're going to focus in and be certified in. However, anyone who is certified in a particular area and has the 30 credits, with the 12 at the upper level and passes the praxis exam in another area can apply to the state for a second certification. So, I think for the terms of the program, they really have to pick an area that they're going to focus in and be placed in a classroom in that area. But it is always possible to get a second certification as long as you have the 30 credits in the content area and you can pass the praxis in that content area.
Yeah, I could speak to that very briefly. We have a fellow in North Jersey who fell into that exact category, undergrad in biochem and I think a master's in chem, but did have 30 credits in biology as well as 30 in chemistry. Opted to do chemistry as the focus for his field placement because one aspect of the state, when you're applying to the state for certification, is to be sure that your field placement is in that same subject area. So he's doing chemistry. He has already actually passed the praxis in bio as well. So once he earns his certification, it won't be an issue at all becoming duly certified.
Okay, great. And there are kind of some questions coming in, I think, that are specific to individual situations, like wondering if they have the credits that they need. That would be something you would look at during the application process, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if, I think in general, we would tell somebody if they, at least in the graduate office, we would tell somebody if they're concerned and they're not sure, they can always send us an unofficial transcript and we can do a quick look over it prior, just to tell them how off they might be if they are worried that they don't have the credits. So certainly reach out to our graduate office and we'd be happy to facilitate kind of a quick review of an unofficial transcript.
I was going to say the same thing. They can also contact one of us as well and send us their transcript if they have any questions, and we can look over it for them. So they should have our contact information now, and we'd be happy to do that as well.
Fantastic. Since we're on the topic of certification and praxis exams, two questions came in. Kind of when would you get your, I guess, NJ teacher certification kind of in this process? How long would that take once you've completed all the coursework? And then when is it that you need to take the praxis exam? Is it prior to admission, or is it during the program, or is it after the program completes?
The praxis exam should be taken, it can be taken before the program, but we don't require that. So currently we have some fellows and students in the program who have already taken the praxis before they even got here. But I would say most of them are in the process of, taking it during this year. If they want certification upon graduation, they must take the praxis before, at some time during the program, because our certification office cannot process the certification unless they have, all of the requirements met. So the praxis must be taken during the program or before the program if they want our certification office to process the certification. Certification will occur, that will be processed upon graduation. So because our program finishes in June, they actually graduate and get the degree and certification in August. I know some students might be, or some people might be concerned about applying for jobs when they don't actually have the certification yet, but that happens all the time. Even our undergraduates are applying for jobs before they graduate and get their certification. So you just put on your resume when you expect to get your certification, and school districts know that that will happen as soon as the students graduate and the certification is processed.
Okay,
What
fantastic.
the foundation often does, what the foundation often does is write a letter on our fellows' behalf, and they bring that on numerous job interviews, and the letter states that they are a fellow in good standing, that they're expected to graduate with their cohort in June, and that we don't anticipate any hurdles in terms of certification whatsoever.
Okay, fantastic. And then just going along with that, one of the questions that came in is, and a few people are alluding to this, what are the job prospects upon graduation? And then also, is it harder to find a job with a master's degree as opposed to just coming out with a bachelor's degree?
The job prospects for these fields, STEM fields, are very good. There is a shortage of math and science teachers in New Jersey, and our graduates always get jobs. We have a very high success rate with our graduates getting jobs because of the school's reputation, I think. So the prospects are very good.
And when you add to that the potential to be endorsed by the Woodrow Wilson Foundation if you're a fellow, that doesn't make matters any more difficult for anybody.
Right.
So when you have two agencies supporting you and endorsing you, it's pretty strong. But even if you were to remove the foundation from that picture and it was just a TCNJ diploma with our endorsement for certification, it's very well received around the state.
And I can sort of add to that. I mean, I think it's definitely true that TCNJ has an extraordinary reputation in the state. And also, part of the reason the partner institutions are getting involved with this program is they want first pick of the fellows, right? That's the reason they're willing to devote their resources and get involved, is they're looking to hire people to fill slots. So, for example, I'm in New Brunswick now, and I think we have one or maybe two vacant math positions right now for math teachers. So there's definitely a demand for graduates of this program.
No disrespect at all to history majors, because I'm one of them, but there's a reason why the fellowship was not designed to target would-be history teachers or English teachers. The state is actually over-preparing folks in those fields. We are under-preparing folks in the STEM fields. So it was estimated in 2012 that the state was preparing 9 physics teachers a year, 16 chemistry teachers a year. Certainly not nearly enough to meet the needs of all of the school districts in the state, and particularly high-need schools in the state. So we're quite confident that our fellows are not going to have a difficult time finding jobs. We work hard to see that they're placed. And as I said at the outset, we have a pretty good track record of placing our fellows.
Okay. Brian, I think this is a question for you. What's the retention rate in teaching after the 3-year obligation?
That's a great question. So Indiana is the only state where we have had cohorts beyond, say, the 3rd year. So our first cohort, our 2009 cohort, finished their 3-year teaching obligation, and 81% of that original cohort of 60 fellows came back to teach in year 4. If you look at data, national data, particularly in high-need schools, what you see is an attrition rate of anywhere between 30 and 50%. So we're really proud of the fact that our teaching fellows are not only staying in teaching, but they're staying in the schools that really need them. So 81% is the number who come back for year 4.
Okay, fantastic.
And just to be clear, that's the year where they no longer have any obligation whatsoever to the foundation. If they were to decide, I want to open my own business, I want to pursue this, I want to go to law school, they're free to do any of that. But 81% are staying in teaching.
Awesome. So then there's some questions coming in about the application process, and they're not clear if they're the TCNJ or the Woodrow Wilson, but I think maybe we can answer it both ways. Brian, I'll let you go first. What are some of the common pitfalls applicants make in the application process? How do we maximize success for the program?
Great question. I would say the biggest pitfalls deal with essays and also deal with letters of recommendation. So, you know, think long and hard about individuals who you want to serve as your recommenders. I would say for career changers, sometimes a question that I get is, you know, I've been out of school for a while. My biology professor and my math professor, you know, won't really remember who I am. By all means, I mean, feel free to use an employer who can certainly vouch for that skill set and expertise in the content area. But really think long and hard about those recommenders. I often say that at least one should be able to speak to content expertise. Ideally, it's both of them, and at least one, and ideally both of them really can speak to a candidate's you know, persistence, likelihood to see a project from start to finish, because this is really you know, you'd be embarking on a 4-year commitment. The other pitfall is essays, and what I have found, and this is just a theory of mine, is that you know, for some individuals who have not done extensive writing either in their careers or during their undergraduate experience, phrasing something as an essay means different things to different people. So while we've never set a length requirement, be sure that you're using that portion on the essay to really tell us who you are and why you want this. You know, take advantage of the fact that it's an essay and that it's not, you know, and that you're not limited to 1 or 2 sentences. So put together your ideas first. You know, draft it before you actually sit down and type up the application. Because to be honest, you know, there are a number of individuals who I would say, you know, are putting statements in there that are rather generic, and that I'm quite confident that if they really knew precisely you know, how closely we're looking at these, that they would put greater thought into it. So those are definitely the 2 biggest areas: the recommendations and the essays.
From the TCNJ side, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, there's components of our application that applicants can't control. So a transcript is a transcript. It's closed. It's what you did. But going forward, the essay especially, and we do look at that very closely, and the letters of recommendation, those are things that you can be a part of. You know, the recommendations, certainly getting individuals who could speak to your academic and professional strengths is important for us to see. And, you know, as Brian said, think long and hard about who you're asking. And, you know, we've had individuals who seem to not take that seriously and you know, ask a relative or ask a casual friend to provide a recommendation, and that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody who could speak towards your academic and professional experience and strengths. And for those who are career changers, again, we understand that you may be out of academia for some time. It doesn't make sense to go to a professor from 15 years ago. So really think about who can talk about your ability to succeed in graduate school. And then as far as essays go, we're really looking for a thoughtful, reflective essay on where, you know, what's gotten you to this point and how you're looking to continue on your journey, on your path with the College of New Jersey. So those are definitely places to look. And if you're a career changer and this program may look out of the blue, or if you weren't successful at some point in your life, in your academic career, talk about it. Don't ignore it. Let us know how you've changed and who you are now as a person and as a prospective teacher. So that's what I would say about that. And then we just have a few more minutes, but does anybody have anything else to add about kind of like the success of an application? Dr. Byers or Liebars, ones that you've looked at that really kind of stand out to you?
I think the applications that have been successful for us just give us an honest representation of yourself, a comprehensive picture with passion, but also success. We want to see some degree of success, and we want to see commitment to the challenges that will face you in this program, because this is by no means a walk in the park, as Alan was able to express. This is extremely challenging, and it requires a significant commitment. But the reward is definitely there as well.
Okay, thanks. I'm seeing one more question, and I think we have enough time for it. Alan, this would be directed to you. Just wondering, what does a typical day for a student in this type of cohort look like? Is it classroom time? Is it grad school time? Where is your time spent, and what does it look like?
So there's there's two parts to that, because there's the typical day over the summer, and then the typical day once we start teaching. So the typical day over the summer was we'd come to TCNJ for classes a couple days a week. Those summer semesters are short. They're like 5 weeks, so they're very intense. And the first course, the iSTEM course we took, that was kind of a mix of things, some kind of reading academic studies, but also the whole point of this is to learn to teach in a hands-on way. So our teachers taught us in a hands-on way. So the first week we were doing this project, we had to design a better paperclip and then run tests on it and make a presentation about that. So it was very much kind of modeling the kind of teaching that we want to start doing ourselves. So the summer is the iSTEM course and the psychology course in that first 5-week semester, and then the second semester, the second summer part of the summer is the we sort of break out into the methods group, so that was math methods. And then there's a sort of a transition to in the fall. So in the fall, your schedule varies a little bit depending on your field, but the math folks we're at TCNJ on Tuesday evening, and then I wake up early the next morning and drive here for a 9 o'clock class. So I have a morning class and then an afternoon class. So I'm here at TCNJ on Tuesday night and then most of the day on Wednesday. And then sort of typical college courses, we've got readings and reaction papers and projects and things like that. And then the rest of the time, the approximate formula is we're in our schools like 2 full days and 2 half days during the week, and we sort of kind of work that out with our cooperating teacher, the teacher we're working with, exactly when that happens to be. And then, so in the beginning, and it varies from fellow to fellow, but the idea is for us to be there the first day of school, and that's very important because as we learn to become a teacher, you realize that first day of school really matters, because that's when you kind of start setting expectations and setting a tone and setting a climate and learning everyone's names, and kind of building the kind of classroom community you want to have for the rest of the year. So it's a very important thing to experience that from the beginning. And then there's sort of a mix of, in the beginning, sort of just watching the cooperating teacher, or like doing activities, or after there's direct instruction, you go around and circulate and help students in small groups, and then gradually kind of taking over. So the teacher I'm with has 4 sections of geometry and 2 of algebra 2. And at this point, I've basically become the algebra 2 teacher. So I'm doing the two sections of algebra 2. And so I'm there, and I sort of get to, and I sort of have the cooperating teachers sort of bounce ideas off of and sort of be kind of a partner. And we kind of sort of a mix of us sort of taking turns or team teaching. So I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but basically in the summers, you're sort of a typical college student, and then comes fall. It's a mix of being a college student and then also kind of being an apprentice teacher. So I think one thing that's important about this program is that you are there the first day of class, and that you're sort of a part of that that whole year experience and sort of follow the whole trajectory of the class. And then by the end of that first year, you've essentially, for all intents and purposes, you've got a year of experience teaching in an urban school. If I were to stay at New Brunswick, which I hope to do, you know, I sort of know where everything is, and I know the procedures, I know everyone's names, so I would think it'd be a very natural transition, you know, into the fall. So I've kind of done all the startup process. And then in the second semester, it's kind of similar, but a little bit more time in the classroom even, and some evenings, I guess, at TCNJ.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm not seeing any more questions come in. So unless anybody has anything else to add, I think we can end it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the panelists and the presenters to just stay in the webinar, and attendees will leave the webinar. We can start closing it out to attendees. But I just want to thank everyone for being a part of this. We actually had a great group here to provide some information for our prospective students, and we had a great group of attendees, a lot of great questions coming in. This webinar was recorded, so we hope to be getting it on our website shortly, and we also have the contact information for all the attendees, so we can certainly send you any follow-up if you have any additional questions. Again, our contact information was provided, and we'd love to hear from you. So that's it. Thank you all so very much, and I'm going to start closing this out.
Yeah. Can we put our hands up to the screen? Right. Just right here. I could get like a little ant.
All right, everybody's out. They didn't leave. I had to dismiss them. So, but everybody's out except us.
Sounds good.
Okay, so
Good
how
job.
is that?
I remember seeing her.
What she say?
What? I'm sorry.
Dismissing everybody.
She's dismissing.
No, the people that attended.
Yeah.
They're all dismissed. I don't know if you guys wanted to debrief at all or talk about anything, or are we good?
I think it went well.
I thought it was supposed to only be an hour, so I was like, why are we still answering?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. We had it listed until 5:30. That's why I kept going. Sorry.
Oh well.
So were there any potential applicants listening to all this? Do we know how many people were?
There were, when we first started, there were 17 people in there.
Oh.
There were 7. No, there was Alan and Anna who were not. I think it was 17. Maybe it was 17 including us, but then that means there was 12.
Yeah.
I'll get the list from Robbie. Robbie actually got kicked out midway through. But,
Yeah, real great for tech support, right?
yeah. Oh, there you go. You're back. Okay, good.
No,
Robbie,
we're about halfway through, and my computer. I'm not even like really looking at the screen, and all of a sudden my computer decides to do a Windows reboot, and I'm like, no, reboot. So I lost it for a little bit.
Robbie,
Yeah,
can you tell how many attendees there were, not including us? I know, I kicked everybody out.
Yeah, not right at the moment.
We'll be able to pull a list, but it was at least 12.
That's great.
Okay. And did they stay on the whole time?
Most of them stayed on. Towards the end, a few started exiting, but it wasn't until, like, I just had to dismiss like 10 people. So there was still a good group in there.
And this one,
Most were like Kathy. They wanted out at 5.
Yeah.
I thought it was supposed to be over at 5.
No. It's all right. What was I going to say? We can actually, you all probably weren't even really looking at the dashboard, but you can see kind of if people are paying attention.
Yeah, we actually saw that. There were only a few dips here and there.
Yeah, it was at least 80% most of the time.
yeah, and I have to be honest, guys, because I watch a lot of these because I provide the support. The varying voices and the webcams. I mean, even if you're not doing much on webcam, it does keep people's interest. You know, just to kind of keep it on the screen or whatever, it just adds that little bit extra. So I was watching that, and it wasn't too bad. It was actually pretty good considering the length of the webinar.
Were any of the, so some of those